Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to week 3 in our 5-week series focusing on the academic programs and changes taking place in the School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. My name is Jessica McGuire. I'm the Director of Admissions for SHRS, and Kathy Kelly, Associate Dean for Academic Outreach and Advising, is with us today as well.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Today we're going to hear from faculty in our athletic training BS-MS program, as well as MS, our sports medicine MS, our sports science MS, and our prosthetics and orthotics MS programs. So we have a busy, packed hour for you. And first up is athletic training with Dr. Amy Agalu, Program Director. Amy, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. So, Amy, could you talk briefly about the change in program structure from to an accelerated BS MS to MS degree to kind of kick things off today?
Sure. We are no longer accepting applications for our BS and athletic training program. We have one cohort of students that we're actively teaching out. They will graduate in April of 2022. The students that are coming into the program this fall are our accelerated BS, MS, and athletic training students. They will spend 1 year as doing what we're calling the pre-professional phase. So they'll be taking undergraduate classes. Their second year in our program, they will be taking graduate level courses. At the conclusion of that second year, they will get a Bachelor's of Science in Rehabilitation Science with an area of concentration in pre-athletic training. Then they'll do one additional year of graduate study and graduate with their MS in athletic training. We will have a second route, and we'll be opening up the applications for that second route, and we're calling it the MS in AT program. And that degree is for individuals who already have an existing bachelor's degree, and of course the required prerequisites. So that cohort of students will come into play in the professional phase. So they'll join the 20 students that we have already coming in the fall for the professional phase. And we currently have about 4 seats open for those students. Once the program is up and running, we will actively have 3 cohorts of students in the program. And the cap that we're looking at for each class of students would be about 24 per class.
Great, thank you. Could you share with us which students might be interested in a career in athletic training?
Sure. I think that many athletic trainers have a similar story. They were very active in sports in high school, and they wanted to continue in that kind of active lifestyle and work with athletes, but also know that, an athletic career for most people is very short. So they wanted to blend their kind of love and desire to kind of stay in the sport with also their desire to maybe be in a healthcare profession and a healthcare field. This is not a profession for everyone. There are long hours, kind of unpredictable schedules. It is not what we would consider a high-paying job. However, now with the elevation to the master's degree, we are seeing kind of we're hoping that we're going to see a slight escalation in salaries. But just like any other profession, the more education you have, the amount of time that you're spending in that particular profession, you're going to see a gradual increase in salary. But we mostly see students who are interested in working with a physically active population who have some history in sports, playing sports or watching sports, and also kind of an interest in working in the medical field.
Great. And who would you describe to be a good fit for Pitt's program?
Well, now that we have the accelerated program, we are going to have a slightly different type of student. When we had the bachelor's program before, we had a mix of students who were looking to go on to potentially PT school, PA, medical school, OT, and they needed an undergraduate degree. Now that we're moving this to the an accelerated master's program, students will be graduating with 5 years under their belt. And it isn't the most straight route for students to get to PT school, PA school, medical school. It's not the easiest route. However, there are a lot of benefits to having this foundational athletic training degree and also the certification for those students. And I'll give you an example. There's a lot of professional sports that are looking for dual credentialed clinicians. So somebody who has an athletic training credential and also a physical therapy credential. So PT, ATs are kind of in high demand in professional sports. So if you have somebody that's looking to get into professional sports and work as a physical therapist, this might be a very good route for them. And without disclosing, I know this is being taped, but we are actively working with the PT department to investigate the possibility can we have something cooperative between the AT program and the PT program here at the University of Pittsburgh. It will be something that's quite unique, that I think there's a certain number of students that will be seeking out, the ones that would like to get their athletic training degree and also a physical therapy degree. So we're actively investigating that. That's on the horizon. That isn't happening in this next year, but we are actively investigating that.
Thank you. We'll be excited to hear more about that in the future. I know in the past, it has been difficult for student athletes to participate in the athletic training program. Do you anticipate that changing?
I absolutely anticipate that changing. We spoke with the academic advisors for athletics about this very thing, because of now that we're spreading the curriculum out over 5 years as opposed to 4 years. It is going to be very possible for many of the athletes here at the University of Pittsburgh to be able to participate in our program and successfully navigate our program. Each of the 4 professional semesters that our students are in the program, they're assigned to a pretty extensive clinical experience. And so, as you can imagine, you can't really participate in a sport and also provide medical coverage and do your clinical at the same time. So that was the limiting factor previously. But now with, we're having 6 semesters to deal with, it is definitely a possibility for students to participate in sports at the University of Pittsburgh and still successfully navigate our program.
Wonderful. Just wanted to talk or give a reminder that we have talked about the upcoming changes to the SHRS general education requirements, and there will be some prerequisite changes due to that coming for affecting students entering Pitt in fall 2021 and anticipating students applying to the programs at SHRS in 2023. Dr. Agalu, are there opportunities for students to explore the field of athletic training before applying to the major?
There are. So all students who apply to the program have to take certain prerequisite courses. And one of those courses has a lab component, and it's the athletic training 1811 and 1812. And that lab component actually has the opportunity for students to observe in our on-campus clinical sites. So the athletic training facilities, the Peterson Event Center, the Peterson Sports Complex, the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, and at the Durrat's Football Complex. So students have an opportunity to observe our athletic trainers and our athletic training students, which I think is important to kind of understand what their role is in with the healthcare of our student athletes here at Pitt. So they do have the opportunity when they take that class and lab, and we don't offer that opportunity to students outside of the lab. And the reason being is that entering into a healthcare facility where people are being treated. And so students have to navigate HIPAA and bloodborne pathogen modules and have to go through some training prior to being able to do their observations. But they definitely, if they take the class and the accompanying lab, will get an opportunity to witness what a clinical athletic trainer would be like at the Division I level.
Wonderful. And if a student is in their first year or sophomore year and interested in athletic training, is there anyone they should talk to? They could reach out to?
Well, they can definitely reach out to me. And, you know, I find the students ask, you know, should I take the basic athletic training class in the fall or in the spring? I say do it whenever you can fit it into your schedule. I understand that many programs require a lot of different prerequisites and everybody's coming in with something different. But there's not one semester that I say is better than the other. If you can get it in your first year, or by the fall of your sophomore year, that would be great. It gets a little bit more challenging to get all of your observation hours in if you're taking it in the semester that you're applying. So if they're a sophomore and they're taking it the spring, their sophomore year, it is more challenging to try to get all of those observation hours in during that one time.
Okay. So going back to what I had mentioned about the prerequisites and admission requirements, just want to remind that current rising sophomores will still follow the old prerequisites. We'll be sharing new admissions pages with the advisors in early August that will showcase the changes in as clear a format as possible. And Amy, could you talk a little bit about, just briefly, about the two different entry points in terms of prerequisites? They vary a little bit, correct?
They vary a little bit. And the reason that they vary a little bit is that students that have already obtained a bachelor's degree will not have that basic athletic training class and lab, the ATH, LTR 1811 and 1812. So they will not be required to have that. But for the students, and I think primarily for these advisors, the real, I think the bulk of the students that you'll be advising will be looking to do the accelerated BS, MS athletic training. We do have kind of an out point after their first professional year. Students must obtain a 3.0 by the end of their second year in our program in order to matriculate to the final year. And they have to complete the whole program in order to be eligible to sit for our national certification exam. So these ones that you see here are actually the requirements for the BSMS. The students in that program are actually going to be getting a pretty intensive foundational experience when they're in our program. They're going to be taking an anatomy through SHRS, pharmacology, kinesiology, and biomechanics. And so what we're looking at for the MS in athletic training route are some of those classes that our students in the accelerated BS and MS program will be getting in that first foundational year. So that's why the prerequisites differ a little bit. The students will be getting a very solid foundational study in their first year in our program.
Wonderful. And we did want to quickly share our historical application numbers for the BS and AT. We will definitely have fresh numbers for you moving forward. I see I'm running a little bit low on time, so I do want to skip ahead to the Q&A because we do have a question in the chat I'd like to have a chance to ask you. Joyce Ager has asked, would students be able to complete the year one pre-professional courses at a regional campus and then relocate to Pittsburgh for year two, or will they be able to finish all of the prerequisites at the regional campus now?
Okay, so those were two questions. The second question, can they complete all the prerequisites? Right now, no.
Okay.
We did try to do a complete online version of the basic athletic training class and lab. And I really felt that it didn't go as well as I would like, because we have a lot of materials in our lab here in Forbes Tower that we couldn't ship out. Like, we did crutch fitting and we used sling psychrometers and stuff in the lab, and really the students that were doing it remotely did not have access to those materials. So I felt like they weren't getting as full of an experience as the ones that were here on campus. Now, having that said, I am going to try to investigate the possibility of utilizing some of the athletic training facilities at our regional campuses. And if we can identify some athletic trainers at our regional campuses that would be willing to, maybe act as adjuncts or something for a lab there, I think that that could be a potential opportunity. We also did, and this was prior to COVID, pretty much hybridize ATH LTR 1811, which is the course version. So students could definitely do that online, but the lab right now, and until we're able to identify people on the regional campuses, they're going to have to travel to the main campus, and that meets 1 day a week. So it meets on Fridays. So we try to make it, even the class, if they wanted to register, I have the class and then the lab directly after it, and it only meets 1 day a week in person.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Galu. We have just got to Zoom on. We really appreciate your time, and we'll definitely share any additional questions we get with you.